welcome back to my channel. I'm here with another astrology oracle reading for you. I have an event chart pulled up. An event chart is sort of like a natal or birth chart for like a time period or something happening. You can make an event chart for like a wedding or a job interview, all different sorts of things. I create an event chart for every one of my oracle card readings just so I have something very specific to work with. I am based in Dayton, Ohio, so that is the location of this event chart, and it is set for 11:11 a.m. This gives us a Cancer rising, Taurus sun, and Gemini moon. I hope everybody had an absolutely fantastic eclipse over the weekend. Hopefully it's ushering some kind of revolutionary change. I did a really awesome oracle reading last week on the solar eclipse, which I'll link below if you're interested in kind of catching that and seeing if you can piece together anything that makes sense for you based on this experience. Of course, we are entering into eclipse season and it is a cycle. So here in about 2 weeks, we're going to have a lunar eclipse, which will be a full moon in Taurus. So enough about that. Again, I hope everybody had a really great time with that. The energy is significant. Let us see what we're going to pull today. We still have a stellium in Pisces and a stellium in Taurus, although we have had both Mercury and the moon move into Gemini, which the Mercury, of course, Mercury loves to be in Gemini. It's one of its home signs. All right, this card is sticking up at me. Saturn, truth. This is a really excellent card. I love talking about Saturn. I just finished my Saturn return, so I feel like even though this isn't a Saturn return card and there is one in here, this is a great time to talk about the Saturnian things in life. And, you know, again, because we're on this, precipice of change, right? We had a new moon, that solar eclipse. It's a new month. We're now in May. We had Beltane, and there is so much celebratory energy about the changing of things, right? We're halfway between spring and summer at this point, so we're really excited to see what does this change mean for us. And Saturn's mantra here is truth. So when it comes to Saturn, this is one of the outer planets. They're not considered a personal planet, which would be like the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Venus. Some people even consider Jupiter to be a personal planet, but Saturn again is a little bit more of an outer planet, which means it moves a lot slower. So the gifts of Saturn, the lessons of Saturn really take time. And I love that the mantra for Saturn, the Saturn card, is truth, because unfortunately sometimes it takes time to uncover truths. Even sometimes things are not always as they seem. And I'll tell you, with all of this Piscean energy going on, I think this is a really great reminder that things definitely are not all that they seem, and maybe have not been. We had this phenomenon with Jupiter and Pisces last year as well, where we demasked a little bit too early. Jupiter and Pisces came through this time, and once again it's saying, hey, it's time to get out of this pandemic mindset. And, for many people around the world, it is not over. And so, again, here's Saturn cutting through to say, hey, the truth is real and tangible and lasting. And Piscean energy is very contrasting, in my opinion, to what Saturn represents. One of Saturn's home signs is Capricorn. In Hellenistic astrology, it is Aquarius. And when you think about the behaviors of Capricorn and Aquarius versus Pisces, very, very different. Saturn is practical, it's realistic. And again, it is slow moving. It's an outer planet, and that means that there is a lot of time involved with Saturn. And, again, with truth being involved, just like the process of uncovering truths may be really important for you right now. It certainly is important for me. As we think about what an eclipse means and what it does for us, we enter into this period of like revolutionary change. And, for many people, entering into that spring and summer time frame, kind of alleviates that seasonal depression. Many people who have seasonal jobs are able to return to work. So there's almost just this like really like we're here, we're alive, we've arrived. And, the truth is you were arrived and alive the whole time, right? Like the changing of the seasons isn't disturbing the inner truth that we all have. Sometimes it just helps us really connect to another part of ourselves. But the truth is You know, if you're battling any kind of issues or mental health concerns right now, that although sunshine and being outside is an excellent way to heal some of those negative feelings, we need to really work on deeply repairing them. Otherwise, we'll enter into that next phase of the seasonal cycle, and you know, those things will still be there. And you know, again, when Saturn is a slow moving planet that really wants us to mature and grow, it's about the whole process, right? It's not about breaking things down into chunks. It's about looking at the big picture. Saturn is a worldly big picture card. I'm going to read a couple lines from my Black Moon, what am I saying? Black Moon Astrology, little kind of guidebook that I have here, which I think is a really helpful for just creating like a really good perspective. You know, the thing is with astrology is it's all based on, you know, archetypes, and a lot of these archetypes have been, you know, defined in a very ancient way. And so although I'm all about, you know, transforming and adding creativity, it is nice to kind of like be able to reflect on truthful understandings, right? Like what's determined to be the truth based on centuries, if not millennia, of agreed upon meanings of these archetypes. Okay, Saturn. So here is the quote for Saturn. Oh, and one of my favorite words is included in this quote. As she has planted, so does she harvest. Such is the field of karma. Oh, that is such a good quote. And that's such a good quote because it, again, is really speaking about those like seasonal cycles, right? Like the planting and the harvest are defined by two very different things. And like, as this quote is saying, you know, karma is happening in real time. These things are happening constantly. And, you know, you can both plant and harvest in the same season. So there's Saturn for you. The Saturn card says that it may feel bad now. Interesting. It may feel bad now, but nothing's going to be resolved. So we're kind of starting out a little bit negative, dark, ominous. These are things that are related to Saturn because Saturn rules our fears. So again, because there is all of this change happening, if you're experiencing any kind of anxiety or uncertainty around some of the things that you're experiencing change in your life, just recognizing maybe that this isn't the time to like do anything about it, but really just like sit in your truth. Okay. Lord of Karma. And this, skipped a line. Saturn is the planet of the Reaper, the Lord of Karma, and this rainbow planet represents what is tangible and solid in our lives. The Greeks called Saturn Cronus, and Cronus was the father of Zeus. Important to note, Cronus represented time. So again, when we're talking about Saturn taking like a long period of time to go through things, experiencing things, process things, then coming out the other side of it, you know, just an important reminder that your, you know, self-love, self-discovery, spiritual journey, you're not in a rush, you know, take your time with it. Saturn in astrology is often referred to as the god that ate his own children because, of course, in Greek mythology, Cronus did exactly that because he didn't want to lose his throne, you know? Kind of crazy to think about that, but yeah, Greek mythology is interesting. Saturn is not exactly cruelty. It just points out what is true and cuts away delusions and what's no longer useful. Again, when we're looking at Neptune in Pisces, Mars in Pisces, Jupiter in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, there is a lot of illusions and possibly even delusions, you know, within that realm, whether that's about ourselves or projecting that onto other people or within our relationships. And Saturn just wants to be like, take off the rosy red glasses. If this is a time of hopelessness, then just realize it's about diligence in your life. You have to stick to what you believe in and adhere to your goals. This is a period of your life that emphasizes hard work. I can relate. Saturn also deals with power and control. It can also be law enforcement, the military. If you possibly run into law enforcement at this time, it could not be negative. It could just be that you're having that association with them. So that's kind of interesting. I think also in some capacity, like when we think about these really like authoritarian structures, you know, somebody may find themselves learning something from those structures, where they maybe have a lot of resistance. And now I'm a Saturn in Aquarius. So if you have Saturn in Aquarius, you've had your Saturn return in the last year or two. And, the thing that's interesting about Saturn and Aquarius is a rebel. It's ruled by Uranus. It wants its freedom. And so when you have Saturn in Aquarius, there's a lot of like questioning authority, not trusting, government, like instinctively having skepticism about, people having power and control over you. And that's something that, is really interesting to see from, because many of those feelings really stay internalized. Saturn, again, really slow moving planet, and that kind of rebellious side of people can take a really long time to come out, or depending on the individual, could just be an instinctive part of really who they are. I'm also an Aquarius moon, so definitely a rebel at heart. All right, what else do we have here? On a positive side, you could potentially meet a fatherly type who can help you advance with your goals. This could be like a mentor or a teacher or a professional connection, especially one that's like older, because it is Saturn and we're talking about time. There tends to be associations of like older kind of authority figures in your life, not so much people who are like a lot younger than you that have just, received accolade. Saturn can sometimes herald the appearance again of a sage or even a teacher. This is not an insignificant thing. So if you have a mentor emerging into your life, this is probably really, really needed for you right now. And I think one of the best times to find a mentor or a therapist or whoever you feel most comfortable working with, I think the best time to find them is when you are going through a lot of change, just to kind of have somebody check in with you and make sure that, as you're uncovering this next stage of development for yourself, somebody who's already been through it, as I mentioned before, Saturn returns, these are such a significant part of our life. They happen every 29 years. So I'll be 30 in October. I've just, like I mentioned before, completed my first Saturn return, but you also have another Saturn return right before you turn 60. So something I've really been on the lookout for is paying attention to people who are going through their second Saturn return as someone who's gone through their first, just so I can like kind of take note about, what did that look like for them? How did their life change? What did Saturn do for them? And, it's really interesting to make those notes about different Saturn returns and what those significant times in our lives mean. One of my most intense Saturn return examples that I have right now is this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. So when Amber Heard first married Johnny Depp, she was entering into her Saturn return. And so by the time that she had, really reached the peak of her Saturn return, they were getting divorced because their marriage only lasted 15 months. What's interesting is that through that trial that recently concluded, Johnny Depp is going through his second Saturn return. So as I mentioned, it's just kind of interesting to see that timeline play out and see, what has a prolific actor like Johnny Depp, you can really analyze those Saturn returns for him because his life is so public. And that's one of millions of examples. Marilyn Monroe was famously married to Arthur Miller during her Saturn return, which was a very transformational time in her life, especially because she wanted to be taken more seriously. I recently watched that Marilyn Monroe documentary, which I highly recommend. It was so fascinating to me. But yeah, she was really looking to be not just a comedic bombshell. She wanted to be taken seriously, as a producer and a creative, and even started her own movie production company, which I don't think a lot of people know. So again, when it comes to Saturn, there is that whole idea of like, teach me, help me grow, help me learn. A lot of really like kind of taking yourself more seriously. So if a mentor is approaching you in some capacity or fashion, or if you're on the search for them, again, during this really intensely transformative time on a personal and collective level, this could be the really best time for that. Okay. Saturn hits me here in this next part that I'm about to read. Why have I not accomplished more at my age? Have I wasted my time? Did I allow important things to slip by me while I was concentrating on non-essential things? these questions are really quite Saturnian in that we're really questioning not only our value and our worth, but like how much we've accomplished. Again, Saturn is a material girl in some capacity. She wants to see evidence of things. So, you know, for Saturn, if you know, are having a hard time in your career right now, then Saturn might be saying like, hey, I'm looking for the evidence that you've made enough money. I'm looking for evidence that your clients or customers support you. Like, show me the money. Show me what's real here. Show me the truth. And sometimes the truth is that things aren't going as well as we want them to. And that can be really a bitter pill to swallow. But it's so important for that next stage of just growing as a person, is just to admit like where we are and, you know, just own those choices and go from there. If we don't integrate a lot of those fears and shames that Saturn can stir up for us, then we can just remain distracted by them. All right, wrapping up here. The gift of Saturn is keeping you on your path, helping you face parts of your life that you dread or you have to fulfill. They are your contracts towards more solid achievements and a better life. Circumstances can be harsh, but you have to believe in your sacrifices. This is a good time to stay diligent and do not rush. And whatever you're asking for will take a considerable amount of time to arrive to you. So, if you're someone like me who doesn't have a lot of luck in manifestation, or who has a really Uranian type of employment situation, then the best thing here is to just, you know, take account of what you actually have going on. If it's time to step up and make some changes, then do so. You know, again, if you need a mentor or someone to help guide you, then this is the time to start seeking that person out. When it comes to Saturn, the effects will be felt over time, right? This is not an instantaneous reward. It is not instantaneous gratification. And we have to just really accept the humility that Saturn is requiring of us and just integrate it, accept it, integrate it, and move on and grow and learn. Because at the end of the day, Saturn just wants the best for us. So that is what I have for you today. I'd love to know how Saturn works in your chart. How is Saturn showing up in your life right now? Do you have a Saturn ruled, you know, rising sign? Do you tend to see things from a really pessimistic perspective? Or do you not really connect with Saturn and have a really hard time dealing with those responsibilities? That's all I have again for this week, but I will be back again next week. Before we go, I also want to mention I am launching, almost in perfect timing with this card, a shadow work series. So my shadow work series kicks off on May 8th. It will be completely done via email. It is a free offering from me to you. All you have to do is head to my website, theperryroseacademy.com, to sign up. And every Sunday for the next 4.5 weeks, starting on May 8th, yes, it's May, on May 8th, so this coming Sunday, you will receive an email that will have a drop to a Google Drive folder that will have journal prompts. It will have a video for you to watch, a very short video, and it will also have a Zine for the entire process. I've created like a Zine, which is like a digital magazine for you to get all different kinds of information from, to kind of help you on your shadow work journey if you are on one. And certainly if you're going through a Saturn return, you're inherently on one. So again, thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate the support. And until next week, I will talk to you later.